Basically, me introducing myself is just I am Juliet Kego Ume-Onyido, and I'm of Nigerian descent, so I'm Nigerian, and I immigrated to Canada 15 years ago. So I call both countries home, both very dear to me. I am a poetess, so I believe in the written spoken words. With a background in engineering, leadership training, and a bunch of other things, wealth management, like just different careers, but finally I landed in poetry and I lead with poetry. That's another wonderful question, really about what I do now. I run an organization called Whole Woman Network. I co-founded this organization, and it's an organic network. I always try to explain to people this is something that started at a dinner table. So I had met another Nigerian lady, Diane Barikowiwa, and we were all at a dinner party, and we started talking about the issues that affect women and girls. And of course, when you talk about women and girls, you talk about men too. So we talked about the different challenges that women in Africa and especially in Nigeria face. And from there, organically, we decided, how about starting something, just an idea that will bridge that gap, be it economic empowerment, psychological empowerment, financial literacy, giving women a voice in leadership, bridging the digital divide, just all aspects. And we started running different programs, so it was really organic. And from Toronto, where I'm based at, we started visiting different African countries, going to underserved communities, more the rural areas, because we realized there are more girls there that are left behind. So our mission really is about advocacy, is empowerment, and is leadership. So we really want to we believe in raising a new generation of African leaders. So, and there's, if you noticed on the name of our organization, woman is written symbolically, where even the M for the man is highlighted. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to integrate both women and men, girls and boys. You cannot have a conversation about empowering girls without bringing boys into the picture, because they both coexist and should complement one another. It's not a fight or a struggle, it's a collaborative empowerment, raising of consciousness of both. So in terms of, we are at a digital conference, it's, the Republica in 2017, and it is so topical to what we do, because we're an organization that started, like I said, at a kitchen, dinner table in Toronto, Canada, and we wanted to bridge the gap for women, girls, boys in Africa. And so it was like, how do you make that happen? That's a wide divide. And what we did, we figured out technology is the tool to make that happen. So we started building, built the infrastructure to interface people living in Africa and then those living in Toronto. And a lot of our programs are that way, where we're bringing together people, whether they're in the diaspora or they're back home in Africa, and letting them have a conversation, because we believe it's an equal exchange of value. Those in Africa have something to offer. Those in the West also have something to offer. So we built that infrastructure. We've really grown. We started in 2010. So this is like our 7th year. Thousands of members. We mentor across different institutions, secondary schools, university, in rural communities. And some of our programs that are really dear to my heart. Number one is the financial literacy for women and girls. And on the financial literacy, we're talking not just about economic power, but all the things that bring about economic power, right? So we're educating girls and boys differently, not the textbook knowledge of getting a degree, but how do you get functional skills? I believe we live in it's really a knowledge-based economy, and it's value-driven. So we're teaching them how to move with the times and learn skills that they can monetize, instead of the degrees that they're hanging up somewhere and looking for jobs. And one other thing with that is we're also teaching them digital literacy. I challenge people all the time. I say, go to any rural community, go to any village, come with your laptop and teach young kids. Don't give them money, don't provide anything, just teach them skills, and they will amaze you with what they can do. One other program we have is called Poetry for Change, and Poetry for Change is really, I believe, in the left and right brains. I mean, I have a technical background in engineering, and I'm an engineer, and I'm also a poetess. I believe that poetry is it's a potent art form to open up the minds of young people, to get them to think about life without possibility, without limitations, to think of all the possibilities. So we do poetry sharing sessions. We want to hear their stories in their words, in their own language. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be English. See, that's the mistake. Poetry doesn't have to be in a particular way, in a particular form, structure. We want you to capture that potency in your language, in your way, and we can get translators, right? And it opens up a whole new conversation because now they're talking about the issues that affect them, and they're not doing it with long stories. They're doing it with really short, poetic forms. Another program, I guess, will be the Seed for Her. Seed for Her started as a program where we go into secondary schools to talk to young girls, to really empower them for leadership positions. Because what we're having now all across Africa, except for a few countries, women are underrepresented. Like Rwanda is kind of like an exception. They have 62% representation in the parliament. I wish that was the same all over Africa. In my country, for instance, parliamentarians, we have 109 of them, 101 are men, and 8 are women. So of course, things like the gender equity bill is going to get thrown out. It got thrown out because you don't have the representation. So for us, it's saying, okay, this is not about a fight. This is about creating the awareness. If you have, if you have more women speaking about women issues, that are knowledgeable about women issues, of course you're going to get more traction. You're going to get the reduction, in illiteracy, in less child marriage, less infant mortality, maternal mortality. It just makes sense. So what we're trying to do is saying, okay, let's not wait till these women are out, they've graduated, and we're teaching them how to be leaders. Let's start in the formative years, right? When they're still open, when they don't believe anything is holding them back. Typically, when you go into schools, ideally they want to give you their best students, to say, oh, these are our best students, make them leaders. And we say, no, we want your troublemakers. We want some of the good ones, maybe 10%, but we want the people, the kids that you typically say are troublemakers, the vocal ones, the ones that are too quiet, the ones that are artistic, the ones that have something to say but haven't quite found a way. And it reflects as if they're not doing well in school, but they just have so much. So it's a mixed class. And what we're doing is trying to replicate what happens in society, because society is not made up of just all the A students, right? So we get them to understand what leadership is, about having a vision and being able to manage multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious teams together, and how to think about the outcomes and not the personalities. So it's very in-depth. Like our leadership programs are, if I must say so myself, it's really, we're getting great results from it. This year we hope to train 3,000 girls. Yeah, and we do it all across the region, the continent-wide, country-wide. There's so many programs we run, but these are some of the ones that are really close to my heart. Now, the question about what's my story, that's an interesting question. I think we could stay all day here if I go into that question. But I think the most important thing about my question is that I started out like any other girl with dreams, right? I wanted to, achieve everything that I could possibly think about. And I had a father who believed in me. My mom is great and I love her, but I think for a lot of girls, it's really important to have a father that tells you that you can be anything and do anything. And I had that. So, and from that, I was free to explore, and I was really fortunate enough to have mentors, great teachers along the way. And that's why I guess teaching is very close to my heart. Great teachers that guided me on the path of all the skill set that I had. Whether it was mathematics, whether it was poetry, it didn't matter. Whether it was public speaking, they found a way to harness those skills. They didn't tell me you can't do this or you shouldn't do this. And this is what I guess my story is to be able to translate that to other girls, right? Because in life, with my life, there's been challenges. I have a family, I have children, you know, I have a husband. However, whatever the challenges that come, if you have resilience built in, you realize that, oh my goodness, like God created me to be able to, you know, own my space, to be able to face whatever obstacle and come out top. So my story is really one of a girl that, you know, pursued her career in engineering. When I was done with that, I said, okay, I want to go into financial services. I did that. And now what sings to my heart is poetry, is empowering women in leadership, digital world, you know, whatever it is. And I just tell people, you know, I'm the barefoot lady that goes around coffee shops, subways, you know, under the bridges. It doesn't matter where, to just talk to people, get their story, and help them to put that in a poetic form, right? So that it has power. And then with that power, they can soar. They can do anything.